All right, good evening. I'm Carl Higbie in for Eric Bowling. We begin tonight, though, with some breaking news. The swamp is alive as ever.
Based on recent developments, including the former president's announcement that he is a candidate for president in the next election, and the sitting president's stated intention to be a candidate as well, I have concluded that it is in the public interest to appoint a special counsel. Today, I signed an order appointing Jack Smith to serve as special counsel. The order authorizes him to continue the ongoing investigation into both of the matters that I have just described and to prosecute any federal crimes that may arise from those investigations.
Yeah, well, Attorney General Merrick Garland announcing a special counsel, mind you, a probable witch hunt that involves both the document seizure at Trump's Mar-a-Lago home and the secondary probe investigating the January 6th Capitol Hill security breach. And of course, just days after Donald Trump announces his 2024 candidacy, but, you know, nothing happens by coincidence in D.C. I'm pretty sure this was a plan all along. Joining me now is the former mayor of New York City and former attorney for President Trump, Rudy Giuliani. Sir, appreciate you being here.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So, all right, let's ask the first question here. How does a special counsel work, and how has it worked in the past? And, you know, the scope of a special counsel is very interesting given the Russia probe that was expanded under President Trump's, obviously, presidency.
Well, a special counsel is not like we used to have a special prosecutor, that independent power. The special counsel has just the power given to him by the Attorney General. Doesn't even have the power to indict. He has the power to recommend an indictment or to recommend against an indictment. So he's really an investigator who is presumably not as biased or presents the appearance of bias that the Attorney General would. And he was right to appoint a special counsel, but he should have done one for Trump, for Biden months and months ago when he first came in.
Right.
It's absurd that there's a special counsel for Trump who's committed no crimes. They've been trying to get him for 5 years. And the Bidens for 5 years, there's been, well, for at least 3 years, there's been definitive proof that they've committed multi-million dollars worth of crimes.
Right. Well, so, I mean, here's the issue, too, is they don't actually have a crime. They're trying to find out if there is a crime. They're not investigating a crime and then going after the man. They're investigating the man and then trying to find a crime based on that. Well, so I want Jack Smith real quick. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
I was saying that was a very good point because with Trump, it is different, as it was with me. I mean, they really didn't have a crime. They were in search of a crime, and they've gone now 4 or 5 years in search of a crime with Donald Trump and haven't found one. But, you know, I guess if you keep trying, you can always get somebody to lie.
Well, that's the definition of insanity, is trying the same thing over again with the same result. Mayor, I want to go into this Jack Smith bio, okay? He was prosecuted, the former Virginia Governor Rob McDonnell. His conviction, though, was overturned unanimously. This guy's got an interesting past. Do you think he can be impartial about it?
I hope so. I mean, the last time they appointed a special counsel, they appointed Mueller, who I don't think knew what he was doing, and then he appointed 18 Democrats and far left, Trump-hating Democrats, as if, you know, you wanted a firing squad. So it really depends on. I mean, I'm not going to prejudge the man. I don't know him. I'm going to hope that he handles it the way you normally would handle it, which is you would get prosecutors who are not influenced by politics. There are a lot of prosecutors don't really care about politics, a lot that do. So Mueller went to the ones that cared about politics, loved Hillary, and hated Trump excessively. Right. But, you know, I think you realize when he testified that Bob wasn't really functioning the way he used to function.
Right, sure. Real quick, I got about 45 seconds left, Mr. Mayor. Let's say they do this whole investigation and we go through the thing again and we come out with nothing again. What happens? What recourse does President Trump have, if any, now that he's going to be a candidate closing in on, you know, the election?
Well, he has really no loophole. I mean, there's nothing. He has no. The thing about President Trump, I think, when this all calms down and when you look back on it, I don't know if we certainly never had a president in the history of this country where we've deprived him of more rights than Donald Trump. We've treated him like he was worse than a terrorist. They've invaded 3 of his lawyers' offices, including mine. That's unheard of. The day I represented him, they went and secretly got my iCloud account and spied on me for a year without telling me or him. I mean, these are things that you just, this is like about as violative of the 6th Amendment as you can get. And of course, they just concluded an investigation of me after they raided my house and my law office, where they claimed to have probable cause that I committed a crime, but then they didn't have enough probable cause to indict me. And I knew I didn't commit a crime, and I offered for over 1.5 years to come in and tell them, and they waited until the last minute. And of course, they didn't clear me until the election was over. So this is a very, very highly political Justice Department. We're not used to it in America. This is a politicized Justice Department. It actually, if you look at it, the FBI and the Justice Department are closer to the Stasi in East Germany than they are to what used to be the FBI. It's outrageous what he gets away with.
Bold. Yeah, well, and the problem is that they can do it to a former president of the United States. They can do it to anyone. Mayor Rudy Giuliani, always a pleasure, sir.
Yeah, good point. Thank you.